All set. Go ahead, Bailey.
All right, Madison, I mean, just 5-set match. You had 3 match points in the 4th set. You had a couple more in the 5th before you finally got one. You know, how do you feel right now after that kind of match for you guys?
Sorry, lost my voice a little bit. Really good. I think we showed our fight. Tomorrow's going to be just as tough as that. And I think we showed how much grit we have fighting off 3 set points from them in the 5th set. We really wanted to win, and we showed that. And I think that's something that we have to carry into tomorrow if we want to come out on top.
And what was the difference there in that 5th set for you guys? You know, you had the lead, you lost the lead, you had, you know, back and forth. What wound up being the difference at the end of the day for you and allowed you to win the match?
I think we just kind of stayed patient. Like you said, it was back and forth. No team was really pulling ahead at any moment in that 5th set, and we just stayed patient. We stayed the course. We had some good serve receive passes that allowed us to get blockers guessing and kind of have some open seams on the attack. So that helped. But I think just staying patient and staying in the moment with it.
And the other Madison in the room, you know, what was the message after that 4th set? You know, you lost the 4th set. You're going to 5 against a team who just pulled off an upset yesterday in 5 sets. What was the message for the team?
We really wanted to just go out with fight and improve on every part of the game and not let them phase us, because we know what we can do, and at the end of the day, this is going to come down to a championship, so we really wanted to go out and play with heart.
And it seemed like at that 1st set, you guys started kind of slow, but then 2nd and 3rd sets, you guys had control for most of the sets. What kind of changed in that 4th set that allowed them to hang in there and allowed them to ultimately take it?
I think they were playing really well, and as much as we wanted it, I think they did too, so it just came down to who was cleaner at the end.
And for either one of you, what's the biggest challenge now to get ready for Omaha tomorrow? Is it the rest factor, or is, you know, what's going to be the biggest challenge for you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely recovery. I mean, thankfully we did play the same that we played back-to-back games in preseason sometimes. So, and last year obviously a lot. So we're not unfamiliar with it. We know how we need to recover, but yeah, definitely the recovery piece, making sure you're hydrated, getting enough sleep, nutrition, all of that.
And Madison, they came in here, beat you guys a couple weeks ago on, you know, senior day, and it was a Sunday, kind of gave them the 1 seed. Is there any extra motivation for you guys now to go out there and try and beat them and win the Summit League title, knowing they kind of spoiled that day for you?
Yeah, of course. We'd really love some redemption, so I think we're going to go out there and play really hard and give it all we got.
All right. I don't think I have anything else for either of you.
Thank you.
I think I'm a little bit speechless. That was an extremely intense game from start to finish. Hats off to South Dakota State. They played an extremely good match. I think just from start to finish made us have to work for everything. And, you know, even when we felt, I don't want to say comfortable, but we felt like we were moving in that right direction, they were able to kind of fight back and force us to have to do more. So they played a really good match, and I think defensively they came up with some really big plays when it mattered the most. You know, I felt like we were able to score, at least for a little bit, at a decently high percentage, especially in the first 2 sets, even though we lost in the first. But I think that when, like I said, when it mattered the most, they came up with some of the biggest plays. So again, they played a great match, and definitely a really, really, I would say, different team in a lot of ways from the preseason to the tournament, and you know, that's where you want to be as a program. So for us, I felt like we weathered the storm, you know, in some situations. And the tournament is never going to be about being perfect. It's never going to be about, you know, always being clean. It's just not, that's not really a part of it. I mean, you try to be as clean as you can, but that's what this is. It's intense. It's emotional at times. And both teams were fighting for the same thing. And, you know, you feel like, you know, in a way, your season's on the line. So, you know, we kind of talked about that ahead of time, and something that we're going to continue to talk about is sometimes you have to embrace the imperfection and just find ways to make plays. And I felt like we did that in some key moments. Serving is something that we have struggled with in some situations, and I thought today we did a pretty good job. You know, 9 aces, 8 errors, right around that 1-to-1 ratio. I'm really happy with that, and I think we came up with some key plays with that. You know, Brooke and Bullway going on, I think it was a 3-point run, getting an ace after that timeout. That's how it set us up to, I think, get a little bit of momentum there. there when there was fatigue setting in. So overall, again, where we always are cleanest, no. I mean, I think we're going to work on getting just a little bit cleaner tomorrow, but we found ways to make plays, and our backs were against the wall, and we didn't back off, and that's something that I'm really proud of this team for doing.
Do you feel that once you guys got into a rhythm, that second, third set, do you feel at some point you guys kind of became complacent with just feeding Elizabeth, feeding Madison, feeding Sammy, feeding just kind of those main players, or do you feel like you had a pretty good balance tonight?
I don't think we were as balanced as we've been in some situations, but that's also going to happen, and I think throughout the year, early on, I think we were very balanced at times, but as fatigue starts to set in throughout the season, there's going to be people that play better than others in different matches, and that's something that you have to capitalize on. So yes, there's a portion of being balanced, but there's also a portion of the game that you've got to feed the hitters that are hot, and I think Junkie did a pretty good job. I think she had some, untimely errors in some situations, but I think all of our players were aggressive, and that's something that we wanted to see. I don't feel like we ever backed off, which is, again, exactly where we want to be. In Harms, 15 kills, hitting 481. Again, just an untimely error there in that fifth set, but she knows. That one might come back to haunt her for a little bit, but she's going to get better from it as well. So, were we as balanced? No, but I think that's part of the game, is finding the people that are doing well and giving them the ball.
Was there any sense, especially early in the match, that they were carrying some momentum over from yesterday's game, where, they had that big 5-set win, they come in the first set, kind of, I don't want to say dominate the first set, but they had a lot of control in that first set. Did there feel like any transition from your side?
100%. I mean, and I think it would be, I'd be disappointed if they didn't. I think that's a part of it, is you do have to feed off of things that you do well, and it was a very emotional win for them last night, a big win for them last night. So again, I think we kind of expected that. I do think you saw that a little bit, and we had some. For example, like our block wasn't as clean in that first set. We felt like we didn't block the balls that we should have, which allowed them to go on either a couple more runs or allowed them to score points when we were going on a run, which affected us. So as the match went on, you guys, hopefully people saw, we cleaned that up. Our timing got better. We got some better touches with it. We made them think. That first set, especially their outsides, they didn't have to think. They could just swing to swing. And then moving forward, they did make some errors because, again, we did have a big block in front of our timing was better. Our hands were out in front. And we forced them to have to take multiple swings, which is it's what you need to do. You need to make changes based on what they were doing. Even in that first set, their middles and the right sides, I believe, had 10 kills, and we slowed them down as the match went on as well, whether it was with our defense or our block or even just our serving, where it took those people out of it occasionally.
Going into tomorrow, you're facing an Omaha team that's given you some troubles in the past, beat you in 2019 after the undefeated regular season, beat you in the semifinals there. Like I mentioned when I asked Madison about the match a couple weeks ago, is there a little bit of a rivalry there? And if so, how important is tomorrow's game then?
Well, first, thanks for bringing up 2019 again. Thought I was over that. I think, again, postseason play, that's what you expect. You expect good matches. You expect some upsets here and there. Does that one hurt? Yes. I mean, it did. But I also think it's forced us to learn through that process as well. And we are 1-on-1 with them this year, just to remind you. So we feel good. In both matches were tough. I think they were gritty. I think both teams, obviously, I think were able to take advantage of some different matchups depending on where we were at. But for both of us to win on the other's home floor, I just think it's going to be a good match. Do I think there's a rivalry there? I mean, probably, because we're two good teams, two good programs that have had a lot of success, and they've obviously had a great year and, winning conference for the first time here in the Summit League. I mean, that's a huge thing for them. So I expect a really good match. I'm hoping our Coyote fans will come out and support again. Over 1,200 people here tonight, and in conjunction with the football game, I think there's going to be a lot of energy in this building from both teams. So looking forward to a high-level match, and I think it's going to be it's exactly what we wanted to bring into Vermillion, is just that high-level volleyball.
What's going to be the biggest challenge then going into tomorrow night? What are some of the challenges Omaha presents to you, and what are you going to try and do to combat some of that?
The recovery aspect is probably the, I would say, obvious answer, but I even think in some ways controlling our emotions, it is a big moment, and we want to make sure that the moment doesn't get bigger than what it is, and we have a goal of constantly going 1-0, whether it's per point, per game, per match, and I want them to celebrate this. I want them to enjoy the fact that we went 1-0 today and achieved a huge goal for us so we can continue our postseason run. But I think the being in the present, making sure that we are constantly engaged in that play, because at that point in time, that's the only play that matters. It's the only touch that matters. It's the only block that matters, so on and so forth. So the recovery, yes, but I mean, at this point in time, adrenaline's going to help. The excitement, the energy from our fans are going to help. I think we just got to make sure that we stay in the moment.